Hello, this is an overview of the course so far. I want to thank all of you who have introduced themselves on the orientation forum. I think it's a great way to get to know each other and begin your engagement with your fellow students, and a good way to let me know what your expectations are for the course. So this will be a video wrap-up of the orientation forum. I want to encourage you to continue to use the @name tag function so that people you write to will get an immediate email notification and you're much more likely to get a response. Looking ahead at Module 1, the evolution of technology use in teaching and learning. It starts with access to the discussion forums, which will support your learning and help you to continue to engage with your fellow students. But I would go on to Module 1, the questionnaire about the learning outcomes, and then your thoughts on technology in 1.1, and review the knowledge in 1.2, defining the concept of technology. In 1.3, the discussion, we want to know about your prior experiences with technology. Since you answered the questionnaire, has your viewpoint changed at all as you reflect on your own experiences? Tell us about your first encounters with technology in an educational context, and highlight how has technology impacted you since then. What is your experience in formal learning environments using technology, and have you used it in informal learning environments? We want you to reflect on your prior experiences and think about how you've used technology in the past as we move forward and look at the ways we can use technology to improve your teaching. 1.4 is guided reading, looking at The Extended Mind by Clark. Now this is an interesting reading, kind of a philosophical view of how technology and the use of technology can extend our minds so that not all we know is in our heads, but some of it's stored externally. This is also used in several learning theories, which we'll touch on later. Take a look at that reading and ponder some of those questions to guide your engagement. How does the external environment influence cognitive processes and problem-solving skills? What does the author mean by active externalism? How are your cognitive resources extended in this system? And read about auto and twin auto. In this example, he's using a notebook or a laptop. There's also a video available where the author discusses the use of phones as external resources. And I think all of us have experienced when you lose your phone and you feel like you've lost quite a bit of your capabilities to communicate with others or to even look up questions you might have. Where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to be doing today? Activity 1.5 is a small group discussion titled Shaping Cognition with Technology. Now normally this would be a subset of the class, but since we have a fairly small class for this session, it'll be everyone in the class participating. And we want you to reflect on how technology, what role it plays in your everyday life. What kind of activities do you take for granted now, you do commonly, but would have been impossible 20 years ago? So how are you using these tools to extend your mind? In Activity 1.6, the course convener from Northwestern, Eric Calvert, discusses some of his insights based on the guided reading. So what inspired him to include this reading as a key resource for the course? And what are his perspectives on these issues? Well worth watching. In Activity 1.7, there's a series of notes about using technology in teaching and learning. These are foundational concepts to build on for the course, starting with things like assistive technology, technology as a supplement to traditional learning. Should we recreate traditional teaching online? The notes also touch on the concept of digital natives. Are there two separate populations, the digital natives who have grown up using technology and are very comfortable in its use, as opposed to what they call digital immigrants, which have only adapted to the use of technology, but perhaps are still not at the heart of it very comfortable using it. The notes also touch on the idea of Bloom's taxonomy, which is a very widely used taxonomy for basically discriminating different levels of learning, from foundational levels up to higher critical thinking skills. Also in these notes is an introduction to learning theories such as behaviorism, cognitivism, distributed cognition, and constructivism, in particular social constructivism, depend heavily on how we learn from our interactions with others. So this is very useful for discussions about collaboration and cooperative learning. Last, he touches on connectivism, which is a relatively controversial theory based on the use of technology and how we use it to link up with others, and it's not so much what you know as who you can contact and access to get information. The notes also introduce learning design frameworks such as the ADDIE model or the SAM, or successive approximation model. And these are very useful for looking at how do you go about designing a course in a logical way. The UDL framework is very useful to satisfy the needs of diverse types of learners and using a wide range of teaching approaches. The assignment for this module is in Activity 1.8, using technology in your context. And the learning outcome is we want students to examine how they use technology in their teaching and learning context and how they might improve their teaching and learning using technology. So the first step is to download the assignment guidelines, which is a Word document. And you'll notice that it is titled M1U3. It's kind of an internal designation. And you'll see it's a template which includes a plagiarism declaration. And your first step should be to save that file with your first name, last name, M1U3 assignment, so that when you type in all your answers and upload it, we can see which document is yours. The first step is to write your name just underneath the plagiarism declaration, and then go down through and look at the weighting of the questions. There's 4 questions focusing on which learning theory best aligns with your core philosophy as an instructor. How well do you use technology in line with that theory? Question 2 is about Bloom's revised taxonomy and how you apply technology at each level. Question 3 is focusing on the use of technology in your instructional approach. And question 4 is looking at what are your barriers that you're facing in your teaching and learning context. You should write your answers below each question where it says start writing here. And below the questions you can see the marking rubric, which is a good transparent idea to let the students see exactly how their submissions, their answers, will be evaluated. Your assignment submission is due Tuesday, October 11th at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time in America. So you have about 6 days to work on it. The word limit is specified at a total of around 1,000 words. We're not going to be focused on penalizing you if you go slightly over or under. It's just a guideline. So the final activity for Module 1 is a questionnaire about the learning outcomes, and we'd like you to self-evaluate and rate your current competencies against the learning outcomes for this module on the scale 1 to 5, 1 being novice, 5 being expert, where you've mastered that subject area and could teach it to others. So give us an idea of how, what's your current level on these different outcomes. This forum is dedicated to supporting you as you work your way through this assignment, 1.8. If you have any questions or you're unsure of how to go about your response, write it down here, post it to me. Be sure and tag my name so I get a notification. and I'd be happy to help you work your way through this assignment. Good luck in this module, and I look forward to seeing your work.